guys, I hope you guys are having a great day today because it is a beautiful day today. And today I'm very excited about what we're gonna do and what we're gonna be talking about, because I'm gonna be talking about what's happening today in this world. And this is something that God has really started to speak to me in my heart. And we're also, of course, we're gonna be doing a game. And what's exciting about this is that it's a two-person game, so you can try to do it with your friends and with your family or with your siblings, which is great. All right, so what we're gonna be talking about, this is like the title of what I want to talk about today, and the title is resetting yourself. Okay, so we're gonna read. If you could please go with me, or you could just listen to Jeremiah 29:11. And what's interesting about this verse is really what it says and how it correlates with what we're living through right now. All right, and this is what it says: "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope." All right, so this is what we're seeking today. So God knows our plans. God knows our future. God knows that God is going to protect us from the good, to give you a future of hope. God is going to give us a future of hope. And that's what I believe right now. You know, we're living through this terrible time where, you know, a lot of people are suffering. The world is suffering. And what I want to talk about and like throughout this week, God has really been like bringing this to my mind, and I feel like sharing it with you, is that the world stopped. With all of this that's happening, the world stopped. Like, I stopped going to school. Some people stopped going to work. You know, I drove down to one of the neighboring cities in where I live from, and it was like completely empty. There were no cars on the streets. It was just us. It was almost like a ghost town. And it's almost like everything just stopped, almost like if all humans just disappeared. Everything stopped. The world stopped. Every single country was shaken by what is happening right now. Every single country in the world is being affected right now. Everything is stopped right now. I don't know when things are going to get back to normal. That's exactly what I want to talk about. It's almost like God pushed the stop switch on the earth. It's almost like God stopped everything, which is what he did. He stopped everything. But why? Why would God stop everything? Why would he do that? Why would God stop everything? And this is the answer for us, so that people could change, so that you could change. What I realized about this is that, you know, we all have like our weakness, right? But I realized that like I wasn't reading the Bible enough through this time. I wasn't reading the Bible enough, or through in 2019, I wasn't reading the Bible enough that I thought I should. I wasn't giving time to God. I wasn't giving God the time he deserved in my life. And what was interesting is that now I don't have an excuse to do so, because, you know, you're home, you have to stay home, you're pretty much done with everything. You don't have nothing much to do. So now there's no excuse. I have to read the Bible. And it's so interesting, because everything stopped, and God is doing it to help us grow. God wants to see us grow. God wants to see us change. God doesn't want us to go back to church and be the people seated there that just like listen, they're taking a little bit in, and they leave the same way they came in. God doesn't want that anymore. God wants us to change. And it's terrible how God has to let these kinds of things happen, these types of circumstances happen, just so that the people in the world could change. It's the only way people are going to listen. So, and another thing about this is that a lot of people I heard say, "Oh, I really want things to go back to normal. I'm sick of this, you know. I want things to go back to normal. I want things to go back to the way they were. I want to go back to school," even though some of those people even said, "I hate school" before that. I want to go back to the times in 2019. And I find a problem with that. I find a problem with that phrase, going back to normal. I find a problem with that, because God doesn't go back to normal. What God is doing now is he's creating a new normal where he's making better followers for him. He's making better people. He wants to see you grow. He wants to see you press the reset button. He wants to see you press the reset button for yourself, Find your true self. God wants to see you find him. God wants to see you, fill yourself up. God wants you to fill yourself up with his spirit. That's what God wants you to do. That's what God wants you to change. That's what God is really seeking from you right now. God is seeking that you change and that you do not go back after this pandemic happens. God doesn't want you to see you at church seated, bored again. God wants to see you standing up with your arms raised high, praising him. God doesn't want the same 2019. God wants something different. God wants change in his followers. God wants us to change. And the only way to do that is by pressing the reset button and letting God come into our lives. God is giving all of us a chance. Everyone in the world is getting a chance from God now. So that is the message that I want to leave you with today. Change. Change, because God is giving us an opportunity and we need to accept that as far as we can, all right? So, as you know, it's time for our game, and we're going to get started with that, and it's going to correlate with what we just talked about, all right? See you there. For this game, you're going to need cups, a few balloons. We're going to get started with our game, and now that we have our supplies, what we're going to do is I'm actually going to explain a few different ways that you could play this game. So basically what you can do is it's a more than one player game, but since it's just me, I'm just going to demonstrate what one player would do. So you could have this is like a cup stacking game. So what you're going to do is you could have multiple of these. You could have 6 or as many as you want, or 5 for each player, depending on the number of players that you're going to have. You have to have the same number, and each player also needs a balloon. That's why I said a couple of balloons and a couple of cups, all right? So this is what each player is going to do. The goal for this game is to stack all of these cups up, all right? We're going to stack them all up, and then with this balloon, all right? So everybody's going to have their own part, but what you're going to do first is you're going to spread the cups out like this, anywhere, or it could be farther. You decide with whoever you're playing with. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put your balloon in your mouth, and then it's going to be like a race. It's going to be like a race, all right? So then what you're going to do is then you're going to try to get all of them. Like that, exactly. And it could be with more cups, it could be with less cups. But that's how the game works. And whoever does it first wins, and then you can go on from there. So that's the point of the game. And we're gonna talk about this, which is gonna be important because our lesson is represents a little bit of what we just talked about in the other part of the video. All right, let's go talk about this. All right, so let's talk about what we just learned in that in the game. And what we learned is that what we talked about, God wants to see us change. God wants to see us grown. God wants to see us built. And with this opportunity that God has given all of us, we can take that opportunity and we could build ourselves up and just be greater. Going back to the same place, but better after this all of this is over. All right, so that's the goal that I have for you this week and for every other time, really. All right, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. All right, thank you.